Yo, what's up YouTube? Dirty Dan Gaming coming back with another Rise of Kingdoms video, and today we are going to be talking a little bit on what I've learned in this past year or so from doing a restart project, going from KvK1 all the way through Season of Conquest with the changes that Lilith has put in place when it comes to migration limits. Once you enter KvK Season 2, even the turnaround times for some of these KvKs, we'll discuss a little bit as well. The good, the bad, the ugly. Sit back, relax, enjoy. Let's jump right into it. All right, y'all. So I think you could probably treat this a little bit more of kind of like a podcast type sort of thing, discussion thingy. I'm probably not going to be doing too much visual stuff. I would probably definitely tune in to the next video that I'm going to be dropping after this, but this is really just going to be a little synopsis of everything that I've learned from KvK1 and up to Season of Conquest with some of the changes that have happened and whatnot. So doing a restart project, very fun. If you have not done one, I would suggest it to most people, unless you're in leadership. If you're looking to do a jumper project or leadership of kingdom development type thing, I salute you, my fellow comrade, because that's a doozy. But it was fun nonetheless. We had a very fun KvK1, a lot of nuttiness, a lot of drama there. That all leading up to that's all pretty much straightforward. That's pretty much still the same structure. Maybe the YSG wheel could be like a little bit sooner. I think they could start introducing the wheels a little bit quicker. You do have the addition of the daily special offers in the beginning of the game, pretty much like right when you open. I think you have to wait a few weeks or so, but we're in the past, so this is for all the OG Rise of Kingdoms players. When I started this account, had a first expertise the commander that they had featured in these daily special offers. That at the time was Double C, so everyone had to get through Double C to get to Charles, to have him ready kind of for, you know, garrison purposes in KvK1 and KvK2, because he is still he's the meta king pretty much for those two KvKs. And now you can just go ahead and switch over as soon as he becomes available, so you don't have to max Double C, you dirty dogs, you. But yeah, you have commanders available to you as soon, you know, you have to wait a few weeks or so, but they are available in the very early game, which is a nice addition. But I still do think that Lilith can probably speed up the wheels a little bit. So leading up to your KvK1, everything is pretty much the same. Everything's pretty much chill until you hit that first KvK, and even that is pretty much, you know, a standard KvK unless you have some backstabs and stuff like that. Charles YSG is going to be the meta for both rallying and garrison. You can, if you are able to, I think Freddy YSG, if you have mega whales who are willing to max a Frederick, or I'm sorry, it would be I think YSG Freddy behind him. But one of those combinations, it is the highest damage rally in KvK1, I believe. I think you would probably do YSG first because you want the archer tree. But there's also Thutmose and Emotep were additions into KvK1. So I actually have a KvK1 commander pairing guide, and actually these came in our KvK2. But these guys will now be available for KvK1 players as well. So he's a nice little commander with a pretty cool debuff, very much similar to, I think it's just stronger than Mulan's, to be honest. I feel like the debuff up to 5 targets within a radius for 3 seconds, increasing their damage taken by 30%. And then when Emotep is secondary commander, the target also gains 50 less rage per 3 seconds. So he's really good in the field. I think he's definitely a commander that you want to include. I'm gonna have to go back and redo my KvK1 commander rankings, but I'm just looking for Thutmose. I just want to make sure he's not going to be out damaging Freddy. I don't think so. Direct damage up to 3 targets in a forward facing fan, 1000 healing effect reduction. It would probably be YSG Freddy, but most of the people will just run Charles YSG into the ground. You're going to need a lot of infantry for these initial startup seasons. So until you get to KvK Season 2, when you have Eddie and YSG, Eddie Tamiris, but we'll kind of progress into KvK2 as we go along. Just wrapping up with KvK1, I mean, I think, yeah, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. And leading into KvK2 is a little unfortunate, though, because you only have about 2.5 week turnaround time, whereas you can get a full almost 2 months preparation in Season of Conquest. You can't get that in the newer updates. At least when I played, I don't know if they've done any little adjustments since I've left. That we just came out of it, so I doubt it. But it's about 2 weeks, and even so for KvK2 into KvK3, you're barely getting a month off break. They're really accelerating you to get into Season of Conquest. I totally understand why they're doing it, and honestly, I kind of applaud them for that, because you do want to get players into Season of Conquest, because that is, you know, end game content, but it is more fun. You have more access. You have all these commanders you have access to, and I understand why they do it, but it is unfortunate in terms of accounts health and development, because you're really beating your accounts to shit if you're fighters, and it hurts. It stings. It takes a little bit to get back to, and even from a, you know, resource and speed up standpoint. So the turnaround's a little bit quicker. They did add the 30 player limit on migrations. Now you can use special tickets, very much like the Imperium Kingdoms can use. So if you fill up all 30 slots, I believe you can use your special tickets to get a max of 32 players. I believe we did that quite a few times on our recruitments, probably definitely for KvK2. That was a very successful recruitment class that we had. And you can, yeah, so you can use the special tickets, and you can bring in up to 32 players. I actually do like this update quite a lot from Lilith. I actually just played in a KvK2 right before kind of creating this, or leading into creating the Jumper project, and it definitely felt a little unbalanced. And I mean, I was using this Yoda account over here, which was a T5 account, and I felt even at times I was getting bullied by the amount of whales that were running around. We had some pretty big ones back in those KvKs. I think I actually have some live streams on them too. I like the addition of the 30 player limit. The only issue that I see with it that we're now going to have to kind of monitor is it's really making kingdoms very small entering Season of Conquest. So I think you're going to be seeing a lot more sea seeds. You'll probably see the ceilings start to fall for a lot of the seeds. I think it's probably going to be a trickle down effect, or a trickle up effect, I think, or but you're going to see some changes coming very soon in regards to the kingdom sizes. On that note, jumping back to KvK1, they actually made this addition as soon as we left, but KvK1 is now a 4 kingdom KvK. It is no longer 8, so you don't have to worry about the, you know, where you're positioning on the map and blah blah blah. It's a heroic anthem in a sense. It's a very, so even that alone is telling me that you know, smaller kingdoms are developing. So spoke about KvK1, KvK2, yeah, moving on. The timeline's a little unfortunate. I think it's a little too short, but I understand why they're doing it. And then yes, the migration changes I actually liked. I did like them. I felt even when we played in our KvK2, it was pretty balanced. Yes, were the bigger players beating up on the smaller players? Absolutely. But that's the nature of the game. Even in KvK1, the one thing that does not change in KvK1 is your T5 players are like gods. Like nothing can kill a T5 player in KvK1 unless it's another T5 player. But KvK2, very fun. I think it's one of the most fun formats map wise. Commander Metas in KvK2, I think it's probably KvK2 and KvK3 now, is going to be Charles YSG, Charles Constantine, Saladin YSG, which I think might be the best. And then also, but this one's also pretty good too, was I think the Tommy YSG we saw before, or no, YSG Tommy we saw in a few flag defenses, which was doing very well. And then also Elcid YSG rallies, Elcid YSG garrisons, those are definitely a thing. You can become a little bit more flexible from coming KvK1 to KvK2, just because there's going to be more players that are going to have developed accounts coming back. So like, for example, I was a primary garrison for KvK Season 2 with a Saladin YSG. Bears was a primary garrison for, like, I think he was using Elcid YSG or YSG Elcid. So we were getting playful in KvK2, but your primary rally is really going to be that Charles YSG, because it has the anti-swarm. And then also you have Alex YSG, obviously rallies come into the fold as well. So and then I think that pretty much sticks for 2 KvKs, very much like similarly how it is right now. the Archer rallies still smack really hard. Whether it's the Eddie YSG or Eddie Tommy, they still do hit pretty hard, very, very much like we are in an Archer rally meta right now. I actually really love the Archer rallies and what they're able to do to infantry garrisons. But all in all, KvK2 and KvK3, decent. KvK2 obviously with the map design is much better, but KvK3 again is a little bit of that snooze fest. I was kind of talking it up a little bit more than I should have, but it was definitely kind of boring. All in all, if you are a developed account, or you have an account that's developed and you're in Season of Conquest, guys, I would absolutely please suggest that you stay. Unless you're a player that maybe took a break, or native player, and when I say native players, I refer to the players that are starting in these younger kingdoms and kind of sticking with them. They're the newer accounts, I should say, I guess. When the newer accounts, if they take a break, then maybe you should think about going back to kind of make up for that lost time in a sense. But for the developed accounts, guys, just stay in Season of Conquest. It's really not all that, especially with, you know, I think if they didn't make the migration cap, if they didn't put that in place, then yeah, you'd probably get a lot more underdeveloped accounts that just want to hide away from SOC. And I think like the pool of the KvKs and the player pool and the KvKs would be so large that you can have a lot of fun with it. But due to the smaller kingdom sizes now, the fighting really isn't super heavy in those KvKs, and we've had pretty heavy fighting, but it seems to kind of wear thin pretty quickly. I really definitely like being in Season of Conquest more so than migrating back. I feel like it's getting your toys taken away from you when you go back to KvK2. You can't use the commanders that you've desperately invested into. You can't use specific accessories when you go back. It's just, and you can't even use Generation 3 commanders, guys. Like, you can't even use Attila or Guan, Ramses, Artemisia. You can't use those guys in KvK3 like you were kind of able to in the past. I mean, my KvK3 included those commanders, and I think that would spice it up a little bit and make it a little bit more lively. I think that Lilith should include Attila Takeda and like the daily special offers, the Guan Yu. Just give them to people before they get into SOC. Just to give them, I think, a little bit of a head start, and that's how it used to be. I mean, KvK3 was the natural timeline of commander releases in the kingdom. Is when you got to KvK3, that was Attila Takeda time, and that is, where people would run and hide, because again, it was very much a Charles YSG meta. You added Attila Takeda into that fold, and that spells disaster. So for the garrisons, so I would advise players, if you're in Season of Conquest, stay there. Trust me, it's much more fun. I almost quit going back to KvK2. If I was in a leadership position, I probably honestly would have, but nonetheless, here we are. So that's again a little bit of my thoughts from KvK1 to KvK3. We then start the discussion of Season of Conquest and what it's like as soon as you're getting into Season of Conquest for the first time. Although it does feel like a breath of fresh air coming back and into Season of Conquest, and especially seeing all the players around us kind of grow their accounts and how they prepare their accounts. And I'm actually going to have some videos coming right after these in terms of what you need specifically to make a really good Season of Conquest account coming out of the gates. And I think if you set up an account this way that I'm going to be giving you, again, this is totally just my opinion, but I think you'll be in pretty good shape. We're going to break down what commanders to use, how many sculptures you're going to need specifically. But if I can just give one announcement or word of advice to the younger players, the newer accounts coming to Season of Conquest, is that you guys can do it. It's definitely doable. I saw it done in my own kingdom. A lot of these T4 players just totally kicking ass because they prepared themselves the correct way for when they got to the big stage. So stay tuned for that video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, again, this was a little bit more of like a podcast style. I didn't really do much of any looking around, I think, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing on the road to 10K, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one. Stay safe. I'm out. Peace.